so much for that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's okay. Welcome back to the first Essex State Senate Democratic Candidates Forum. I'm your host for the evening, Michelle Houle. I have with me tonight candidates Jessica Finocchario and Kathleen O'Connor Ives. I want to thank you again, ladies, for joining us. And I want to thank the audience for joining us. We're now turning to audience participation. And we're going to start with our first audience question. Patricia Driscoll, I believe, is going to ask you ladies a question, and you'll each have 1 minute to answer. Ms. Driscoll.
Hi, my name is Patricia Driscoll. I'm a resident of Haverhill, Massachusetts, and I'm a retired teacher. And my question for both candidates tonight is, could you discuss the pros and cons of the special education circuit breaker?
Okay. And this one will be starting with Kathleen.
Sure. So in all of our cities and towns, we find a lot of challenges to funding special education, and the special education circuit breaker is helpful when it's fully funded. In the fiscal 2014 and 2015 budgets, we were able to fully fund the circuit breaker, and that provides some relief to our communities. But the difficulty with special education funding for all of our school districts is that there are peaks and then it falls, and it's really hard to predict depending on the student population. So I've created a special education working group where we've brought together leadership, school committee members, interested parents from all over the district to try to figure out how to solve these financial planning issues. And we're making good progress. We've already had a number of meetings. We're going to resume the meetings in September so that we can offer a list of concrete recommendations to the legislature so that we can more predictably fund special education.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jessica.
I think that's wonderful. That's something I would certainly want to continue as your next state senator. I think that it's incredibly important to continue to fund these programs so fully. I've been a substitute teacher myself, and I'm currently vice chair of the Greater Lawrence Technical School, and I see these problems every day. I have many friends with children in special education programs, and I know how difficult that can be to make sure that you have the adequate funding and what the possibilities are if they were fully funded. So that would be something that I would certainly stump for and do everything you could. I'm glad that you have that board put together, and I would certainly continue that as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you both very much. And our next question from the audience. The ladies will have 1 minute each to answer, and we'll be starting with Jessica this time.
Hello, my name is Lois Jacobs. I live here in Methuen. I'm a retired teacher, and I have a question for Senator Ives and Ms. Finocchario. What are your thoughts on the Kinder, or is it Kinder Morgan's pipeline proposal for Massachusetts?
Jessica, you are answering first.
That's something that I've heard people talk about, but to be honest with you, I don't know how accurate the information has been. Most of it's sort of been in education circles that I know of. So I would want to fully look into it and understand more about it before I gave an answer to that. But generally on education, I believe that we should be strengthening our public school system. I think we should be expanding our early education.
I'm going to have to interrupt you. This is about a pipeline proposal. This is not about education.
Oh, I thought you had said Kinder.
The Kinder or Kinder Morgan's
I see what you're saying.
pipeline proposal.
Okay.
For Massachusetts. Not
Okay.
about education.
Okay. All right, I thought you had said
right.
kindergarten.
Right. No, I didn't. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't sure how to pronounce either Kinder or Kinder, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want me to start over? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So obviously that's something that I don't know about. I think that that's, a lot of people, when they go into these positions, there's a lot that they really need to find out. And I think that that's the most important thing when you're first elected senator, is spending that time being really open and honest and gathering a lot of good people around you who will be able to meet with you and tell you about a lot of these things. My specialty is in a lot of different areas, from different parts of education to activism in recycling for, mental health and a lot of other immigration activism groups. So it's not something that I've dealt with directly, but I would want to read up on what's going on, and I would want to give a full explanation to you tomorrow. if I could get your information afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you. Kathleen.
The pipeline proposal has been in the news in recent weeks, and it is very relevant to our district because the issue of fracking gas has become pretty contentious. Fracking for natural gas is something that I'm against, but it happens in other states. It happens in Pennsylvania, New York, and Ohio. And although there aren't a lot of deposits for fracking natural gas in Massachusetts, we are very vulnerable to that gas being transported in our state. The current proposal would be a pipeline that cuts across the northern swath of our state for a high pressurized gas pipeline, and there would be lines going out into Haverhill and Methuen. So communities like Pepperell and Groton are very concerned about it. About 2 weeks ago, there were many residents protesting in the State House asking for support to be against this gas pipeline. Although the federal government finally approves it, I think that there is a role for state legislators to have an opinion on this.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question. Our next audience question.
My last name is Del Monte. I grew up in Sicily. I came in this country July 1374. How many years I've been here? 40 years. I know a lot of people from Merrimack Valley, and I'm going to do the best I can to support Jessica Finocchario to be #1. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the questions are more what we're looking for, but thank you, sir.
Barbara Garnis from Newburyport, retired mental health substance abuse field. I think earlier you touched upon democratic values, so what I'd like to ask is, from both of you, what is the most valued democratic value that you have?
Okay, 1 minute each, starting with Kathleen, I believe.
Okay. For me personally, I think that compassion is the biggest democratic value, and it's something that I feel very strongly to try to put myself in other people's shoes. And I believe that if I got nothing else accomplished in my term as a state senator, I work very hard to treat people, no matter who they are and where they come from. I try to treat them with respect and sensitivity, to listen to their perspective and really figure out how I can be helpful, whether we agree or don't agree. I am very committed toward finding common ground to help solve problems and improve quality of life for residents. So compassion is something that I hold dearly, and hopefully my actions speak louder than any types of accusations.
Thank you. Jessica, 1 minute.
I would actually really agree with her. I think that that's so important to working families, is looking at, are we actually caring for everybody, even those who don't have a voice? And I think that that's the actual root of being a Democrat, and that's what it's meant to me. You know, growing up, knowing that we had to work so hard to make sure that we had everything that we needed, experiencing the problems in government, experiencing how difficult it was to actually get the services that you need at times, how confusing and complex things are, and feeling like if I only had somebody in my corner. And that's why I've been a Democratic activist my whole life. That's why I'm a Democrat, and that's why I would like to be your next state senator, a real Democrat who will never stray away from democratic values. That is who I am, that is who I will always be, and nothing will change that, ever, period.
Okay, thank you. Our next audience question, Vincent Knightley. Mr. Knightley? And this will be 1 minute as well for each of you, starting with Jessica this time.
Good evening. Vincent Knightley from the great city of Methuen. And this question is about infrastructure. What, in your opinion, is the most critical state infrastructure project underway in the Senate district right now, and why?
Jessica, your first choice.
I think If you'll indulge me, I think I want to take a little bit of a spin on that question. What I think could have been some of the most important infrastructure projects of this community is what would have been funded with the transportation bill that Senator Ives unfortunately voted against. I would have liked to see what would have come out of that bill. I know that there was a lot of investment for our community, and I think that that's what would have been extremely important. I know that we have a lot going on right now in our district, and I would